Alright, we're back on this Transit Connect. So after not finding any visual evidence of leaks, could not pick up anything with the leak detectors. So now I started the vehicle and I'm going to confirm what the customer said, you know, poor cooling. But it's a mild day. It's only 72 degrees out. We're in Daly City. It is clear skies. It's rather sunny. And but it's a white van, so it's not like a black van that'll get really hot. So let's take a look what we have here. I have it constantly running. It's not cycling anymore. I have it on fresh air. So we're dragging in the fresh air from right here. And from right here, I'm getting the engine heat. So I'm really overwhelming the evaporator right now because I got the engine heated up. We have a hot condenser. You can see our condenser is 97 degrees. That's the liquid line. I have the temperature sensor, and the only place I could get it, and down here, because I could not get a hold of a location right outside of off the condenser. There's no way to get to it. It's just all closed off. Okay, my suction line. Okay, now my suction line went up. I was in the 60s before. Now I'm at 84. Why is my suction line? Okay, something stopped. Let's find out what happened. That's from the rear evaporator. Do I have it? Yeah, I have it on the rear right now. Okay, let's find out. Something changed just as I turned on my phone. Oh, let's see what the inlet temperature is. Where are we? Peace. So we're going to see what the temperature is right here at this sensor right there. This is the temp, and you feel this sucker. Look at this. You see how much that's pulling in? This blower fan really sucks. Okay, so let's see what we got here. So I could say that's a hot desert day, 115 degrees. This is why when you're trying to read things like pressures and temperatures with the hood up, you have it on fresh air. On this particular vehicle, the air just happens to shoot out right here from the fans. It likes to come up right here. Let's take a look at this. Let's move this around. Let's see what I just moved it right there. Let's see what the different temperatures are. Now I'm moving it over there. It's a few degrees cooler. Let's move it right here at this corner, right there. See, it's different temperatures as you move at different times. Let's see what the temperature is right here. This is the air coming up right there. 122, 127, 128, 129. This is why, you see this right here? Cool air, not from under the engine. You see this right here? Cool air, not from under the engine. Even though it gets a little radiant heat, because the radiant heat that strikes this metal heats up all this metal. So even the cool air that comes from the vents up here coming through gets heated up by the sheet metal. You should put a little insulation. You remember the Mercedes-Benz, how they would have the pad underneath there? They should have this under here. So when you're in a desert, you don't have 240 degree air under the hood heating the sheet metal up to 240 degrees, but outside it's 115 degrees. So outside it comes in through here and it travels along this 140 degree sheet metal and it heats up before it goes there. That is just stupid. Okay, so let's get this back here. Let's go back to stupidity and let's keep diagnosing with our hood up like this and see what happens. So by me grossly overloading the evaporator, I'm not cycling anymore because I'm 115 degrees on my inlet temperature. Let's see what the temperature coming out of. Okay, let's see the temperature. My superheat from the rear come on, is 39. Now I'm going to move the probe to the front. Let's get down here. So this is on the rear. So now, let me go over here to the front. Now I'm connected to the front. That's the front evaporator. Oh no, that's total. Sorry guys, that's total. That's front and rear. I want just front. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, am I going to be lucky? Will they let me grab a hold of the front somewhere? Not really. Everything is kind of insulated. Oh, well, they got a lot of insulation wrapping around that front evaporator line. Got a little section. I might be able to get this. Yeah. There's like a 2-inch, 1.5-inch section I could grab onto. So now my superheat raised to 42, 41. So we'll come up. We might hit 39. But it's still very hot. And our outlet duct temperature is 63 degrees. That's coming out of the front. So we got 63, we got 115 degrees going in right where you see my temperature sensor probe right there. We got 115 degrees going in there, 63 degrees coming out of there. That's a pretty good temperature drop. That's what you would expect to see. Other than we don't have the heavy load going over the condenser. You put 115 degree in front of the condenser, it would get worse. So here's our closest duct. Here's our evaporator. That's where the air goes in, right there. So if you want to take your TD across the evaporator on this one, you can put a temperature sensor right there and a temperature. This is the nearest one. So you'll get your truest reading out of the nearest duct. After that, they start picking up temperature. The farther you go away, the more temperature you'll pick up. So you want to get to your closest one. And let's see what our outlet is right there. We're 65 degrees out of the rear. Okay, and we're approaching 200 degrees. Now, let's see what our discharge, vapor hot gas discharge from the compressor is. So let's take this temperature sensor and let's go to the hot gas discharge of the compressor. Sorry guys, right there. The compressor's way over there. Over that way, I'm not getting over there, so I'm a few feet from the compressor. I'm going to take the temperature of the hot gas discharge. Right there. Alright. This is not an easy vehicle to maneuver around, but it's not the worst. So our 173 degrees. So the compressor is located up mid-engine, way over here. Where I'm taking the temperature is the hot gas discharge line is going way down over here, and then it's dropping down at an angle, and that's where I clamped off to it. So I'm far away, and my liquid line discharge temperature is 175 degrees. So I could probably safely say that my hot gas discharge is 200 degrees out of the compressor, probably 250 plus inside in the core of the compressor. So let's get rid of this hot air and let's go to recycle. Let's take in roughly the 77 degree air and stop loading the evaporator up so much, because this is the wrong way to do it with the hood up. With the air intake right here, you screw yourself every time, especially those guys who use the freaking cans. You got, and I'm not going to do it yourself person in your garage or at home who's never been in the trade is not supposed to know this, so they're forgiven. But an actual shop that's been doing AC for years and tries to diagnose using pressures and they do shit like this. When I come into a place and I see guys talking and they're squirting in and jacking off the little cans into the car, and I see something like this, and they're going, oh, I don't understand, the pressure's too high, the condenser is plugged, let's change the condenser. Oh, the expansion valve is restricted, let's change the expansion valve. The compressor's bad. Well, if you're pumping high pressure, your compressor's working, but there's guys who they'll say, oh, it's 400 psi. Oh, your compressor's bad. What's your pump supposed to do? It's supposed to pump and make pressure. If you're making pressure and you're making suction, you're good to go. And they can replace compressors. Okay, so we just eliminated this. So as you can see here, I can hold it right there. See? It just falls off. It's no longer sucking. The leaf just rolls right off. Okay, so now we're doing recycle air. Even though we're doing recycle air with no load under it, 191 psi, we're still way to hell up there. And we were at like 41, 40. We only came down to 30. But I just unloaded it. I had 115 degrees going in over the evaporator, and now I have roughly 72 degrees air going from recycling up under right over the evaporator with no load, and we're still way the hell up there. What's going on? This is the question. So let's take this temperature sensor here. So we're going to take this right there to 172 degrees. No, wrong one. That's the discharge. It's in my hand. 97 degrees, and it's not 97 degrees. Let's take this way to hell over here. Let's let it cool down because it's really hot. Let's stick it up under where it's pulling its air from. It's actually pulling the air at the inlet right about inside here for the recycle. Let's see what that temperature is. This is our load over evaporator. And it is not 85 degrees outside. Where's it kicking that heat up at? Okay, so what I'm going to do is, wait a minute, which one did I grab? Yeah, I grabbed that one. 85 degrees. Let's grab this one. I'm going to double confirm that. Let's put a second one in the same place. So now I can see if I'm getting the same reading. There must be some hot air bleed off the core. Now, unless they're like, because I have the probe stuck in and they're a few inches apart from each other, 7 degrees is not kosher. So there must be a little bit of air bleed out from something hot. So let's get these right next to each other so I can confirm that they are like right next to each other. I don't want no deviance. Let's get them right next to each other. I don't want nothing skewing my readings. I have like a 7 degree difference. So right here, I could literally feel air be moving across me because there's a breeze. I should not be having a 6 degree difference. Did I just cook my temperature probe? All right, so let me go get a backup. Shoot, I'm not going to my car right now. Forget it. I'm just looking for a difference and a raise and a fall. So I'm gonna grab this one at 76. Now this is where your tools, these guys were neck and neck up to the last vehicle I used, because when I would have them in my hand, they were equal. And that was just from yesterday. This is my, now I'm using them on this vehicle the next day, and there's a few degree difference. It was not like that yesterday. Something happened to it. I dropped it, but I didn't think it damaged it. I just cooked it at 100 and some odd degrees, but I didn't think it would do that. So there's an issue. There's a 4 degree difference between my probes, and it was not like that yesterday. So here's your tool going off calibration. Something happened, and now I got to investigate this. So, oh, where was I before I got distracted before calling my tool off? So now I got to get a different one. allowed because I cannot be 4 degrees off. That's not allowed. But just for testing purposes, this is the air temperature going over my evaporator right now. Remember, we were doing external air from the engine at 115 degrees going over the evaporator. So let's average these out and say we have 72 degrees going over evaporator, but we still have 194 psi on the high side. We discharge temperature from the compressor is 171. It dropped a few degrees because we're not pulling over that load right there. So the high side pressure didn't change, barely, a few psi. From taking in 115 degrees going across the evaporator and say 73, 72 degrees going across the evaporator, the high side pressure is dead on right where it was, basically within a few psi. How could that be? Take this to residential HVAC. If you were on a split system in a home, and if you put the evaporator load over your evaporator in a house on a split system, if you had 115 degrees going over your evaporator, and let's say you had, now you'd have to go back to the R12 days or R22, no, you'd have to go back to the R12 days to get such a low head pressure at 115 degrees overload of your evaporator. But let's just pretend, if it's R410, let's say it'd be 510 psi, 400 psi. But let's say you're on a residential split system and you had 115 degrees over your evaporator load and you had 195 psi outdoor temperature. But then you lowered the load of your evaporator down to 72 psi and you still had 195 psi. What's going on? All right, I'm gonna put my phone down. I'm gonna recover. Let's see what we recover out of this unit. And remember, this 171 degrees is the temperature of the gas discharge from the compressor about 5 feet away from the compressor, and it's this hot. All right, catch you on video number 3, do a recovery, and let's see what I take out.